Welcome to a new video. In this video, I will show you how to evaluate trigonometric functions. Specifically, as subtopics, I will go over quadrantal angles and then reference angles, and then finally we will take a look at how to evaluate trigonometric functions by just combining all of those information. So let's get started with the quadrantal angles. This is our unit circle, guys, and as you all know, the 0 degree starts from here, right? So this is 90 degree. And that is 108 degree. This point is 270 degree, and when we come to the beginning point, it is also 360 degree. Or we can say that this line is pi divided by 2, and that part is pi, because as you know that this is 180 degree. So we can regard this line as pi, and this is 3 pi divided by 2, and that is 2 pi, guys. This region is called the first quadrant, or sometimes instead of quadrant, you may see the word as region. So most of the time in this video, I'm going to prefer using region compared to quadrant. Anyway, so this is the second quadrant or second region, and this is the third region, okay? And this is the fourth region. In the first region, all trigonometric functions are positive. So for example, when we say sine 30, we know that 30 is between 0 and 90, right? So it's in the first region. Because this angle is in the first region, so the result is going to be plus. It's going to be plus 1 divided by 2. Every function is either positive or negative in one of those regions. We need to memorize this before starting this topic, okay? Just be aware that in the first region, all functions are positive. For the rest, we have number 2, number 3, and number 4, right? So in the other regions, every function is one time positive. Okay, you can think of it in this way. For example, region 2 is the sine region, okay? The region of sine. The region 3, or the third quadrant, is the region of tangent and cotangent. And the fourth region is the region of cosine. You can think of it in this way. In the first region, again, all functions are positive. For the rest of the regions, every function is one time positive. We can think it and you can easily memorize it in this way. So for example, when we say cosine, for example, 150 is in the second region, right? So in the second region, cosine is negative. That means the result of this function is going to be negative for sure. And I will show you in the upcoming slides how to find that 150 as well. So just try to memorize the sign of every function in all regions right now. So the first thing we should do is this, okay, memorizing or learning the signs of the functions in each region. And then the rest is going to be easier, guys. And we do have our first example. It says find the sign of the following functions. In A, sine 60, because 60 is in the first region, I can easily say that this is going to be plus, of course. Cosine 170. 170 is in the second region, right? Because it's less than 180. So in the second region, cosine was negative. Why? Because in the second region, the only function which was positive was sine. So because it's cosine, it's going to be negative. Tangent 220. 220 is in the third region, right, which is right here. And as we see here, tangent is plus. So I'm going to put here plus. And cotangent 330. 330 is somewhere between 270 and 360, right? So over there, only cosine was positive. That means cotangent is negative, guys. Cotangent pi divided by 4. Pi divided by 4 is less than pi divided by 2, right? So because this is the first region, then everything is plus. Sine 2 pi divided by 3. 2 pi divided by 3 is, what you can do is actually here, 2 divided by 3 times pi is what? 180, right? So just cross out those, simplify the fraction. 180 becomes 60. 60 times 2, which is 120. So actually 2 pi divided by 3 means 120 degree, which means that the angle is in the second region or second quadrant. And in the second quadrant, we know that sine is positive. So this is plus, guys. Tangent 7 pi divided by 6. 7 pi divided by 6 is a little bit bigger than 1 pi, actually, which is the third region. We already see it here. But if you want to convert it to the degree, what you can do is 7 divided by 6 times 180, guys. Simplify it. Then we have 30 here, 30 times 7, which is 210 degree. And we all know that 210 degree is between 180 and 270, right? So definitely it's in the third region. And in the third region, tangent is positive. So this is gonna be positive, guys. Cotangent, 11 pi divided by 6. 11 divided by 6 times 180. 186, simplify it. 30 left over. 30 times 11, which is 330 degree, guys. And 330 degree is in the fourth region. And in the fourth region, cosine is positive, guys. So it's gonna be plus. And in this subtopic, guys, we have reference angles. Corresponding acute, okay, which is between 0 and 90 degree, angle of any angle which is between 0 and 360 is called a reference angle. So in order to calculate, for example, let's say sine 120, okay, we need to convert it to a reference angle which is between 0 and 90 degrees so that we can easily evaluate the function. For example, sine 120 can be written as sine pi, which is 180, right, minus 60. And this is going to be, guys, the angle is in the second region. In second region, sine is positive. So it's going to be sine 60. So as you can see, I just converted 120, okay, a big angle, to a small angle. That operation is called actually reference angle. And this is what we're going to learn in this subtopic. We can write all angles, for example, like here 120, right? All such angles according to the x-axis or according to the y-axis. What do I mean by saying x-axis is by using pi or 2 pi, right? Because in the x-axis, as you can see, this is the x-axis, right? We have here 2 pi and we have here pi. By using pi and 2 pi, if you write the angles, by using those two angles, then that means you're writing the angle according to the x-axis. And suppose that we have such an angle, okay, as I put it here, you want to find out the value of this x. And as you can see, that x is in the second region, right? So suppose that this is also y, so x plus y is pi or 180 degree, right? It's very obvious here. So how we can find out sine x? Well, sine x is by using this pi, okay, what you can do is x is what? Well, you can just send this to the right, right? So it's going to be x is 180 minus y. And this is what I put here. So sine x can be written as sine 180 minus y, and that is equal to, guys, sine y. Whatever that y is, just put it here, and before doing this, look at the sign of the function. For example, this x value, or 180 minus y, is in the second region. In the second region, sine is positive, so we need to just put here positive. So as you can see, sine stay sine, cosine stay cosine, tangent is tangent, cotangent is cotangent. That's why I put here trigonometric functions stay same if you write the functions according to the x-axis or by using pi or 2 pi. As an example, I just put here, for example, sine 120. Sine 120 can be written as sine 180 minus 60, right? Because 180 minus 60 is 120. And then this is equal to, guys, because the angle is in the second region, second quadrant, and because sine is plus in the second quadrant, so we just put here plus. And then just put this angle right over here, okay? So this is sine 60. When it comes to evaluate cosine 120, again, 120 is what? 180 minus 60, right? Or pi minus pi divided by 3, the same thing. And that is equal to, guys, this, we are talking about the second region. The angle is in the second region or second quadrant. And in the second quadrant, cosine is negative. So just put here negative. And that 60 comes over here. So negative cosine 60. Tangent 120. Again, this is in the second region. And in the second region, tangent is negative. And again, that 60 comes over here. The same thing for cotangent, guys. Cotangent is negative, so this is going to be negative. And 60 comes over here. Here, guys, our function is in the second region. And in the second region, this is how we can write any angle according to the x-axis or by using pi or 2 pi. If our function is in the third region, guys, for example, suppose that this is our angle. This is x, for example. And in this case, how we can write sine x? Well, if you say this is y, then x can be written as pi plus y, right? Because this is already pi, and this is y, so it's going to be pi plus y. Or pi is what? 180 degrees, so just that's why I put here 180 degree, guys. So sine x is sine 180 plus y. And again, this same logic, guys. The angle is in the which region? Third region. Sine is negative in the third region, so it becomes negative, and y comes over here. Let's look at the examples exactly. For example, suppose that we have 210 degree. 210 can be written as 180 plus 30, right? So that 30 is going to come here, and because sine is negative in the third region, that's why it's negative. So it's negative sine 30, which is actually negative 1 divided by 2. By the way, I already made a video about how to memorize special angles in trigonometry. You can take a look at over there about how to find sine 30, cosine 30, and etc. Anyway, here we have cosine 210. Again, 210 can be written as 180 plus 30, right? So it's going to be definitely cosine 30, but is it positive or negative? Because we are talking about the third region, and in the third region, cosine is negative, so that's why it's negative cosine 30. Tangent 210. Again, tangent is positive in the third region, so that's why it's positive. Cotangent, positive, that's why it's positive, guys. And for the last case, for x-axis, okay, suppose that our angle is in the fourth region, like here. So we have sine of x. And how we can write that sine of x, for example, that sine of x, according to the x-axis. X-axis means here 2 pi, right? So if you say this is y, and then sine x is 360, which is 2 pi, right, minus y. And then this is equal to sine y. And then, of course, we need to take a look at also the sign of the function, because sine is negative in the fourth region, that's why it's negative. So specifically, let's take a look at 330. Suppose that x is 330, okay? From start to end, this is 360, right? So if you subtract 30, which is y here, okay, from 360, and then we can say that this is also sine 30. Why? Because this 30 comes over here as it is, okay? Because the angle is in the fourth region, so that's why I put here negative. Why? Because in the fourth region, only cosine is positive. The rest is negative. So it's going to be negative sine, positive cosine, negative tangent, negative cotangent, guys. So as you can see, this is how we can write all angles by using pi or 2 pi, no matter where the angle is. And also, guys, let's take a look at how to write the functions according to the y-axis. If you write the function according to the x-axis, it's just we learned, okay, the functions are not changing. But if you write the angles according to the y-axis, y is this, right? So either pi divided by 2 or 90 or 370 or 3 pi divided by 2. If you write the angles by using those angles, then functions are changed. Like what? Like, for example, sine becomes cosine, cosine becomes sine, tangent becomes cotangent, cotangent becomes tangent, guys. This is the first thing that we need to know. And I just put here just one case, okay? If our angle is in the second region, then how we can write the angle by using y-axis. We can just increase the number of cases, like if the angle is in the second region, if the angle is in the third region, and if the angle is in the fourth region. I just want to show you one case so that you can just get the logic behind it. And for example, let's say again our angle is x here, okay, which is in the second region. And how we can write this x by using now 90 or pi divided by 2 or y-axis. Suppose that this is y, right? So we can say that x is, this is already 90 or pi divided by 2, right? We can just put one of those, 90 plus y, or pi divided by 2 plus y, as I put it here. So sine x is sine pi divided by 2 or sine 90 plus y, and that is equal to, guys, that y comes here, but sine becomes cosine, okay? And while doing this, you need also to consider the sign of the function, because the sign is positive here, okay? If you remember, the only function was sine as a positive in this region. So it's going to be plus cosine y. If it's cosine, then it's going to be sine, but there is negative. Why? Because cosine is negative in the second region. If it's tangent, it's going to be cotangent. Here, this is wrong. let me correct it here. It's going to be negative cotangent x, guys. I mean the y, sorry, cotangent y. If it's cotangent, it is tangent, negative tangent y. As an example, let's say we have sine 120, okay? Sine 120 can be written as sine 90 plus 30, and that 30 comes over here, but sine becomes cosine. And because sine is positive, so that's why it's plus. Cosine, it's going to be sine. Tangent is going to be cotangent. But here we have negative and negative. So in this way, you can easily evaluate the value of the trigonometric functions in any angles. And how you can use those information, guys? Where you can use those information? Well, this is one of questions that you may encounter. If you look at here, A, we are asked to evaluate sine 150, and we need to know how to write that 150, okay, as a reference angle so that we can calculate it. So sine 150 is sine pi, which is 180, right? Or just let me write 180 actually. 180 minus 30. So it's going to be for sure sine 30, right? But what about the sine? Because the angle is in the second region, and in the second region sine is positive. So it's going to be plus sine 30, and that is, guys, plus 1 divided by 2, guys. For cosine 225, what you can do is cosine, again, I always recommend you to write the angles according to the x-axis. Why? Because the function doesn't change, right? Sine becomes sine, cosine becomes cosine. So 225 can be written as, by using x-axis, like what? Like pi, which is 180, plus 45, right? So in this case, cosine is going to stay as cosine. Cosine 45, but because we are talking about the third region, and in the third region cosine is negative, so it's going to be negative cosine 45, and it's going to be negative square root of 2 divided by 2, guys. And as a last case, we have tangent 135, guys, and that is equal to tangent, again I'm going to here use 180, guys. 180 minus 45, right? So it's going to be tangent 45 for sure, tangent 45, because this angle is going to come over here. And also we are talking about the second quadrant. In the second quadrant, tangent was negative. Why? Because the only function whose sign was positive was sine, so tangent is negative. And tangent 45 is 1, but because here we have negative, so it's going to be negative 1, guys. And this is our last question, guys, in this video. It says again, find the value of y below. I'm gonna solve the question in the two ways, guys. Firstly, I'm gonna use x-axis, and then I'm gonna use y-axis. X-axis means pi, which is 180, right? Or 2 pi. Y-axis means 90 or 270, guys. Okay, so let's solve the question in the first way by using x-axis. So in this case, y is gonna be, guys, y is sine 300 can be written as 360 minus 60, guys, minus cosine 150 can be written as 180 minus 30, guys, and that is equal to, it's gonna be sine 60 for sure, right? But because we're talking about the fourth region, and in the fourth region sine is negative, so we're gonna have negative sine 60 here. And this angle is in the second region. In the second region, cosine is negative. So, but there is also negative. Negative is gonna be positive, so it's gonna be plus cosine 30, guys. Negative sine 60 is what? Square root of 3 divided by 2, plus cosine 30 is what? Again, square root of 3 divided by 2. And if you add them up, we're gonna have 0, guys, right? So in the first way, we found that the result is 0. And I'm gonna calculate the same thing by using y-axis, guys. And let's see what we're gonna have at the end. Again, sine 300. 300 can be written as according to the y-axis, which is 270, right? So we're gonna have 270 plus 30 minus cosine 90 plus 60, right? In the next step, sine is gonna be cosine, guys, okay? Cosine, and because the angle is in the fourth region, and the fourth region sine is negative, so it's going to be negative cosine 30 minus cosine. Here we're going to have sine, right, because cosine is going to be sine, and 60 is going to come over here. Cosine was negative is going to be positive again. So this is equal to, guys, negative cosine 30 is sine 60, right, which is square root of 3 divided by 2, plus again square root of 3 divided by 2. These are gone, and as you can see, still we get the same answer. As you can see, whether you write the angle in terms of x-axis or by using y-axis, doesn't matter, still you get the same thing. And that was the last question in this video, guys. If you have any question, you can put them in the comment section below. Thank you for watching and hopefully see you in the next video.